control the kitchen.
Alexa,
That skillet.
stop. Okay. What in the world? Why am I signed off? Who is that? Jupa? Jupao Gasol. Thank you. Salamat. I take it you're Filipino? Is that right? Now who are you, if I may ask? No, watching, I'm going to be watching my live stream on the TV, but I'm signing in at the moment. I gotta remember my password here. I changed it. It's signed off of Google, so I gotta sign back in. I believe that's it. Oh no, wrong password. All right, don't get that wrong too many times. Give me 1 second. Did I add some extra digits? Maybe I did. Oh no, that's not it either. Yes, you do see a gaming. That's to control my TV. I'm on a browser via YouTube, using the YouTube Xbox. I'm sorry, I'm saying the wrong words. I'm using Xbox to connect to my TV. So I've got all the apps and browser on my television. So this is my mouse. Hold on, I gotta remember my password. I'm sure it was. This is, if this is wrong, oh no, crap, what the heck? Um, I don't play anything. Occasionally I'll put on, what is it? Um, what is the driving app? Starts with an F, is it? I forget. But I don't play games. What's up, Open Light Studio? Hey, wait a minute, I recognize that name, I think. Open Light Studio Productions. I gotta remember my password. I changed it, but now I don't remember what I changed it to. I usually keep the same format, relatively speaking. Originally, we did for my son, but now he graduated from Xbox to his laptop years ago. So now he does all his gaming on his laptop instead of the Xbox. password. I don't know any other. That's weird. But anyways, you know what? I can do this. I can double or multitask. Oh, okay. Remind me again. Open lights. Um, yeah, I been there, done that years ago. Actually, back in the '90s when they had a probably before your time. It was called oh my gosh, web TV, where the internet became available on your television through a 8-track tape player, but it had a wireless keyboard, and you could sit here on your couch and type on your television. Actually, that's where I originally started chat rooms was on web TV. Oh, okay. Your fiance is in, and where are you located? Everything's logged off. I'm not using my phone, so I'm using the phone for the live stream. You know what? And it's making me sign in to my Google, and I don't remember the. You know what? I'll probably freeze on this live stream, or it'll go black. Let me be right back. I'm going to access the Evernote app. Give me 1 second. Okay. All right, I'm back. Oh, that's right. You're in Iowa. I'm Pangasinan. Right, right, right. You know what? We've got snow coming down too much outside, and it's blowing around on my porch, and it's setting off my doorbell camera. And I've got all my fishing stuff pulled out of the back of my car because we went to the Poconos to go tubing, and I put everything on my porch, and now all my fishing stuff is being covered with blow by snow on my porch. It's under protection, but it's not completely protected. Okay, this is weird. I've already put in the password that I know, and it's denying it. Why? Oh, there it goes. Sorry about that. I'm on. I'm signed in. But now I don't need the Evernote because I already found it on my phone. All right. Let's see here. What was I doing? Oh, I was accessing my YouTube. This should be signed in. There we go. I'm signed in. Okay. So how's everything with the long distance relationship there in Pangasinan? Have you been there yet? Maybe you've told me that already, but I don't remember. Okay, I'm back. Let's go to my channel. And Jupa, where are you again? And planning to go to the Philippines this year. Oh, nice. I just came back actually. It was on a sad note. My Asawa's youngest brother uh, died in Iloilo, and you can imagine, everybody was thrown unexpected. And so, because of work schedules and school schedules and kids and all the above, everybody was scrambling for time off and who's going to go and who's not going to go. And I ended up going with my brother-in-law, his brother, a brother of the brother that died. My brother-in-law is the eldest brother. Him and I, and then his two sisters, oldest sisters, went back. So the four of us flew back to Iloilo in September, this past September. And we didn't have, much time other than 2 weeks. So we flew back there for 2 weeks, buried his brother, spent the first week, with the viewing and the memorial service and then the burial up in Lambunao. That's the hometown of the mom side up in Lambunao. That's where mom and dad are both buried. So we took him up there and buried him with mom and dad. And then I had the last 6 days last week to spend on my own or with the family or with the brother-in-law. So it was a sad note to go back to the Philippines. So I didn't have a whole lot of time. And it was brutal, the flight over there and it takes 2 days to acclimatize once you get there and get your sleep schedule back on track. And then, so that took up, 2 of the 13 days. And we were active from the time we landed, time we got there, because, things needed to be done and places to go, people to see, all of the above. So a lot of moving to and fro, visiting. Aha, finally, finally populated. There we go. Cross, Cross Mondo. Oh, that's you. Wait. What's your name again? uh, aren't you in where? Wisconsin or Minnesota? With your Korean wife, Chris. That's it, Chris. Oh my gosh. Oh, thanks for the thumbs up, guys. I see them on my television. Here you can. I'll show the. There it is on the TV. Okay. What's up, Chris? Long time. Oh, that you're in Philly? Wait a minute. I thought you were. I could swear you were Minnesota or Wisconsin. Must have been another person. I knew you were married to a Korean, but Philly? Boy, that went by my over my head. Gotcha. There's another Chris. Oh, there is? Is there? You mean that used to visit on my live stream? Yeah, no kidding, Chris. Hey, do me a favor here, Chris, now that I got you on here. I actually thought about you a while ago, long time ago. Um, I think the last time we tried this. If anybody comes in, do me a favor, since you're a moderator. If anybody comes in and they're not, uh, obviously they're not a moderator, check their channel for me. And if they've only had the account for a month, if they've had an account a year or less, could you just block them for me? Don't don't worry about it. Just if they've only had an account for, a short amount of time, they're not here for anything constructive. At least that's my history. Yeah. Use your own judgment, and if they don't seem to be here for any good reason, just block them, or whatever you got it, whatever option. If you need more flexibility, I can change you to a little higher moderator. But what options do you have when you look at somebody's channel or somebody's name in the chat room? Just read to me what. I think you're just a standard moderator. Yeah, yeah, I'm familiar with that. I think he's just a standard moderator at the moment. And what options, what tools do you have as a standard moderator? I mean, I've been a moderator for years, and I forget what. I think you can put them on timeout, or I don't know if you can block them. You can hide, user timeout, and remove user. Okay. But when you hide them, is that just for you? I know timeout is for the whole is and remove user. Anyways, yeah. For now, I'll change your moderator status if I have to. Hiding is from the channel. Okay, it should be. Is that good enough? Is that? Anyways, that's my experiences. The trouble I've encountered are those that are, you look at their channel and they've had a channel for 1 week, and they have no picture and there's no reason. There's they're just using it as a quick account so that they can troll channels. Yeah. Anyhow, um, yeah, when I saw your name, it prompted that memory. Very good, very good. Okay, where was I? Yeah. Okay. Well, the what prompted me to come live was I was chatting with another Filipino live streamer, and I was saying, requesting her to bring me up on her as a guest, and she was saying, "No, I'm on YouTube Live. You can't do that." I said, "No, yes, you can." So I was trying to help her uh, with that, and so it was it was getting nowhere quick, and so eventually we gave up. And so I thought, well, let me go live and see what I can find out that I could help her with. But that just led to me going live right now. So she's on live, I'm on live, and the rest is history. So what's up, ladies, gentlemen? Um, those I haven't spoke to all you guys in forever. Jupa, are you still there? Where are you? Are you in the Philippines? If you're still there. Ah, okay. So you you didn't have your camera open or something? Is that why I was just hearing your voice? Or how did that go? Did I respond to that, Chris? I I think didn't you leave a comment or something? And I responded to you, something to that effect. Oh, you did video as well. Okay. Yeah, forgive me if I'm forgetting, faces and all right. Why is my phone? You know what? My doorbell camera is like lighting up my phone and there's nobody out there. Just snow flurries wisping around in the air. Gotcha, gotcha, Chris. Well, how's everything for everyone? Are you getting snow? You obviously are up there in Philly, as we are. Yeah, I know. I thought it was done. It started warming back up and melted everything finally, melted all the frozen cement snow. And now it's super wet out there. I actually walked in it at the beginning of the downfall. I do. I've been doing a daily walk up to Starbucks. It's a mile from this corner to from this light to the next light. But there's a trail through the woods, so it's a really cool walk. And so I've been doing that in the wintertime and making it a new kind of workout for me. I packed my forever climbing pack that I've had for over 20 years and weighed it at 25 pounds, put that on my back, um, got new boots, gaiters, ski poles for walking, and put all my garb on and my gaiters around my lower legs, around my boots, and was kicking through the snow and ice during this last event. And the ski poles made all the difference in my balance and tripping and falling on that ice and packed. It was a in the ATV tracks going down the middle of the trail, and those things froze with 4 to 6 inch ruts on each side, frozen solid. So ski poles made a heck of a difference. So now it's like I just did it today during the beginning of this snowfall, and it was absolutely like winter wonderland. The snow was falling pretty heavy, but it was filtering through the trees. the trails really hadn't been filled yet with snow, but it was starting to. So it was just a nice, super cool walk with all my appropriate gear and staying warm, and actually was sweating by the time I got to Starbucks. And then I hang out um, in Starbucks for about 2 hours. And tonight, or this last evening, um, if I know it's going to go into the dark, past sunset, I'll bring I got a neck light around my neck, and end up walking through the trail in the pitch black, and then I'll turn on my flashlight around my neck, and it just adds to the ambiance as I arrive home in the dark, and then kick off all the snow and shake out the jackets and hang the backpack back up and clip the ski poles back on the pack, get my boots off, put everything away, come back in the house and have dinner. Yeah, the clothing makes all the difference. It's like a kid playing in a sandbox. You know, if you have the right equipment, you can spend as much time as you want out there. And exercise helps with staying warm. I'm down to literally long sleeve, fleece lined liner, just a long sleeve shirt. It's fleece lined on the inside, just a real thin liner. And it got down to, it would be 32 degrees. And it was just that long sleeve shirt, my backpack, my pants with liners underneath those, and then my boots and my gaiters and my heavy gloves and my ski poles. And with that exertion, your body just heats up. I got all my jackets packed in the backpack. I usually end up shedding off a layer by the time I get to Starbucks. Is that tonight you were saying? You only got about 2 inches? Because same here. It was really wet, warm and wet. And then it started sticking by the time I got home. And I reviewed the doorbell camera, and my wife was out there in the driveway. I don't know if my wife did the driveway or if my son did the driveway, but she was out shoveling the steps out here on the porch. By the time I got home, the driveway was clear and the steps were clear. And now it's still snowing, kind of foggy and dark, and it's not heavy. It's just kind of flurries out there, blowing snow everywhere, blowing flurries everywhere. My car's got about 3 inches on it, I think. Wonder what my gear out there on the porch is going to look like in the morning. I keep thinking, what do I have out there? I got fishing poles, measuring board, my tackle box, one of the seats from my kayak, oars or paddle. What else do I got? Oh, my pedals for my kayak, and couple of PFDs. I'm going through the inventory in the back of the car. I took it all out because I went to the Poconos. I just got back last night. Wife and I and my son went there to go tubing. And she made a good call. She said, I think we need to get home tonight. There's a storm coming tomorrow. And she was afraid for the conditions on the road. I think she made a good call. So we came home last night. instead of this morning. So, okay. What time is it? It's 1:15 in the morning. Oh, my gulai. I thought this would be the last opportunity to go because everything's melting or melted, and they were making snow on some of the areas of the mountain because of the temperatures getting so warm. So I figured, well, maybe this is the last of the season. Well, it looks like they got more. And now that I've been up there and doing what I've been doing recently, doing my hike through the forest and accumulating a few more pieces of toys, I some of my past memories started coming to the front of my thoughts, and I thought, you know what? I need to cross country ski. I mean, it's a winter wonderland during the winter, and I've done a little bit of that, so I'm somewhat familiar with it. And all I got to do is just go. So this trip gave me motivation to start looking for the different areas locally or relatively locally that I can go to. And either snowshoe, I just got some snowshoes, and I thought, you know what, cross country skis is definitely the way to go if I'm going to cover ground. And yeah, just make it a weekend outing by myself because my son nor my wife does any of that. And head up there and go disappear into a forest or go ski around a lake somewhere. That'd be a nice outing for me since I'm not rock climbing or mountaineering anymore. So all the gear, is in my head, and it's applicable pretty much to any extreme weather uh, hobby or sport, whether it be sailing or up in the snow. The gear is almost actually I wear my fishing bibs and jacket and just layer underneath it. The equipment is the same. It's made to serve the same purpose. It might just be a little different design for the pockets and so on. But otherwise, yeah, it crosses over pretty equally, and I just layer underneath it and I'm set. So I don't have to I can use the same outfit for different purposes. And I feel pretty comfortable. I got the equipment that I'm using pretty dialed in as far as the practicality of it all and how it works. Yikes, that'd be careful with that, right? Skiing and knees don't go hand in hand. You need one for the other. Yeah, my biggest motivation is just being in shape. I've backslid so much, according to myself, compared to what I used to be when I was 53, 10 years ago. shape of my life. And that was really motivating, at my age, to know how fit I was. Actually, at 53, I was at the end of my peak. And then that's when I arrived here. And then I've been on the couch pretty much, um, trying to maintain my health by sitting on the couch. And I was successful with my diet, but exercise, oh my gosh, that just totally disappeared. So now this walking is really good, especially with the backpack. I was like determined. It's like, wait a minute, come on, Gary, you used to walk everywhere, up and down mountains, with 45 pounds of climbing gear on my back. And my little boy, when he was a little guy, I'd have him on my shoulders with my 40 pounds of climbing gear with a rope draped over the top of the pack or around my neck, and my 45-pound son on my shoulders, and would hike up steep paved roads or on trail going up these hills in Southern California. Him and I both were in incredible shape. And he was only 6, or 5. Now he's 20, but he weighs more than I do. He ain't getting on my shoulders. But yeah, he was a lean little boy. When I couldn't handle him anymore, I'd put him back down on the ground and say, "You gotta follow Dad." And then he'd follow me until he couldn't anymore. And still he started whining, and then I'd put him back on my shoulders and keep going up. Kicked my butt, whooped my butt would be more accurate, but it was really good, for my shape, my stamina. Yeah, it was crazy. Super lean. Lean and mean, we say in the rock climbing circles. And in up here, I'm I still have that mentality. It's like, you know what? I could get back into the shape I used to be in. I don't know if I can anymore. I don't know if my body would let me, but up in my head, it's like, I can do this. I can get back in shape. It actually motivated me in the recent past. And I got my weight back down to almost climbing weight, which is 160 to 165. I'm at 180 right now. And when you look at the difference between 160 and 180, that's 20 pounds more. I can't throw that, kind of weight around. And my muscles have atrophied. It's all gone. And so I got a long way to go if I'm ever going to get back into that shape again. But I still have the head for it. So I keep thinking, you know what? I can still do this. I can still get back in the shape I used to be in at 63. Yeah. And when you're in shape already and your weight is, and you're back in shape, the motivation is much easier because you can just go and do, and you don't have anything to worry about. You're already there, and then you could go out anytime you want, do whatever it is you need to do or that you want to do. But when you're out of shape, you just can't go back out there and start doing. It takes, I'll bet you it would take me a good year or more to start doing what I used to do. I mean, I wouldn't even be at that level after a year. And that's hard when you think about this. God, it's going to take me a year or more. because of the amount of time I've been away from it. But anyhow, something to talk about. But I found something, so that's good. And it's pretty easy to go and do it. And that is, my backpack, ski poles. And now that the winter's about done, come springtime, I might just head out, do some research online, find some national parks or state parks locally, and just go up there and get away. Some a reason to drive, park, get your gear out, get geared up, and then just take off and do a loop and or an overnight. I've been saying I'm going to do that for how long? Just by myself. So who's still here? Raise your hand. Oh, that neck light. Matter of fact, it's right here charging. I just plugged it in. It's this thing. Instead of putting it on your head, you put it around your neck. I actually had a cheaper version that I accumulated from somewhere. Actually, an older friend of mine, and kind of liked it. So I got another one, a little more fancy, with more bells and whistles to it. Let's see, I don't have any coffee left. You know what? Why not? Let's go make some coffee. I'll bring you over to the coffee machine. I think I used to do this, right? When I was live streaming before. Take you guys on a tour. All right. Beyond Black by Black Rifle Company. Raj, hey, you found me. I was thinking, Raj, that what's her name? Her real name, her part of her name is Lynn, but her family calls her, what is it again? Anyways, I was thinking maybe when she's done with her live stream, if she gets done, she'll find me and come over. But she motivated me to go live. So this is me, Raj, meet Chris. Chris is here in Pennsylvania, and Raj is back in California, my neck of the woods, my old stomping grounds. And Filipino as well. Chris is not. I say as well, meaning I was on a Filipino live stream, and Roger is from the Philippines himself. Is that your name, Raj? I call you Raj. We can leave it at that if you want. Chris is married to a Korean girl. So he's got the Asian persuasion in him as well. That format a little bit. There you go. I'm making some coffee, Raj. Yeah, I was looking at one of your videos, and I thought, oh dang, maybe you told me before that you did some bass fishing. I saw a smallmouth in that one thumbnail. And I'm a big, yeah, we talked about that. I'm a big largemouth bass seeker here on the East Coast. Not at the moment, it's frozen. It's dumping snow outside as we speak. If you, if Zen, is that her channel name? If she's still live streaming, if you can, go back to her and tell her Doc is live streaming. Yeah, that's the going thing anymore is catch and release, at least freshwater. Okay, what am I missing here? I've got the camera up on the, here, maybe I can put it over here on the coffee maker. No, that's going to be too, let's see. I'm up behind me. You'll see me doing it this way. There we go. And don't laugh at how much cream I put in my coffee. I have a little bit of coffee with my cream. Okay, one more. Almost two and a half. Did I already put a Splenda in there? I think I did. Or did I? Maybe I didn't. Some honey? About a teaspoon of honey. Did I put a Splenda in there? Did you see me put a Splenda in there? Did you see me rip open a Splenda? Did I? Yeah, you have to rewind the live stream. I'll taste it and I'll tell you. There she is, Zenina. Hey, dear. Um, Zen, meet Chris. That's Cross Mondo, and you know Raj already. And I don't think the other original Jupa Gasol, Jupao Gasol is still in the house, but he or she is one of the original people that came in. No, you didn't see me put one in? Okay. Let me taste it just to wait. No. Okay. You know, I have a bunch of old Splenda packs, used ones. And I think I was pushing them aside, and that's what made me think, did I rip one open and put it in? Okay. Oh, for those that haven't been on the channel before, for the Filipinos out there, I know I think I remember giving Chris and others a tour. Oh wait, who did I miss here? Is there somebody else there? No. Oh, okay, okay, okay. Oh, I did. And June Nabiz, whatever that is. Anjun. I am in New Jersey, USA. And you? Former Navy, if you're wondering. Probably threw you with the hat. You'll have to figure that one out. If you can tell me what I was in the Navy and what hat this represents, I will be impressed. Oh, I was going to turn the camera around and here's Zen. Are you still there? Yeah, Zen, you're there. Let me turn the camera around and say, here, am I in a Filipino house or what? You think? Okay. The cuchara and tinador on the wall. And my cuckoo rice cooker, right? With gun in. And what else we got here? Oh, look what she made tonight. Oh my gosh. Look. In the Jollibee container, but no, it's not Jollibee. Some more proof that I'm in a Filipino house. What's in here? I can't get it open. It's it's pompano. Ista. Look. Oh my gulay. Look at that. Oh my gosh. I got two of them here. One, two under there. Right? And what else? What else do I need with Ista? We need we need suka. Let's see here. Where's the good stuff? Aha. Binakurat, right? And datu puti. Yes, it is fish. There we go. Right? And you got some other telltale sauces and spices, right? For the chicken and the datu puti vinegar, right? Sarap. What else? And other. Oh! Can't forget. Oh, that's the oyster sauce. What am I looking for? Oh, here it is. Jufran, of course, banana sauce, right? And etc. With this little spice rack. And I'm trying to think of other Filipino things to maybe over in the pantry. I call it my mini sari sari store with all the packages. Hold on a second. Um, what do we got here? Janisa, Janisa, Mamacitas, Pancit Canton, Tinola, Sinigang, more Sinigang. She's into Korean. Speaking of Korean, Chris, she's been she's been buying. Her and my son have been on this Korean kick lately. I'm trying to think of what else we got here. Anyways, oh, yeah, how about the canned goods? Can't forget the carnation. What do we got? Lego back here. Lego sardines. The green label, the red label, right? he go? And oh, Spam, Vienna sausage, Spam, of course, right? Can't forget the Spam. Uh, and the baked beans and the eatlog, the looks like canned milk fish. There's Spanish style, some other knickknacks here and there. Carnation, that's a big Filipino thing for their desserts. And lychee, right? And condensed milk, etc., etc. Okay, enough of the pantry tour. Oh, Twinkies even. Oh my gosh. There's health food. Okay. No, not at all. Raj, I've been eating rice for longer than you are old. I've been carrying 12 kilo or 25 kilo bags of rice on my shoulder for over 40 years. Before you were born, 1984. Actually, I was doing it before then. That was when I was first married, was in 1984 to a girl from Bangkok, Thailand. Remember that, Chris? So I started that routine, gosh, when I was 22 years old until today, until this very day. I've been eating the Asian cuisine for 41 years. Yep. Well, longer than that because before we were married, I was eating her food and her mom's food. So, okay, got my coffee. Set the camera stand back. By the way, what's the battery on my phone? 86. So I'm good. Good to go. Are you still there, Zen? Or are you live streaming still? Oh, I wasn't sitting here. I was sitting over there. But it's all right. It's more comfortable here on this end. All right. All right there, Raj. Thank you for dropping by. Now you know who I am, what I look like, without associating this tip tapping on my phone with what I must sound like. Just another canoe. There, see? The doorbell just activated again, or the camera. Let's go look. Let's go look outside. See what see what the weather's doing. It's gonna be dark, but I have a kind of a greenish glow. Holy moly! Look at this. Look at my porch. Look at my porch. Oh my gosh! It's a winter wonderland out there. And you know what? All my climbing equipment, I mean my fishing equipment, is covered. Whoops! Oh my gosh! And I got paperwork even out here that's gonna be covered. That's ruined. OMG. I guess it dumped a little bit of snow. Gosh, this is not this is not fun. I'm gonna have a little bit to shovel in the morning. A lot of bit to shovel in the morning. Look at this. Holy moly. Look what's on my rail. All right, there. That's the world I'm living in. There, Zen. We're in a winter wonderland at the moment. Goodness gracious. Wonder if I could. You know what? That equipment is beyond. It's too late to really do anything about it. So, goodness gracious. And now my doorbell's telling me it just saw a person. Duh, it was me. All right, let's see, being on the TV over there and my phone over here. Maybe I can, maybe I can relocate the table so that it is more in front of me without spilling anything. Let's see if I can do this. Whoa. Okay, there we go. That's a little better. Format that up. Aha. Let's see. Is there a what you call it feature that blurs the background? Under let's retouch. Let's see. Microphone. What is that? Oh, that's retouch. Lighting. Might be under. No, that's relight. Relight off. Anyways, it's a little better, I guess. Putting it more in front of me. Wonder what the snow is. The forecast is. Alexa, how much more is it gonna snow?
Tone 1 greater than it's still coming down pretty good right now. Tone 2 greater than you're looking at about 5 more inches through 6 a.m. Then it'll taper off to just flurries for the rest of the day.
Oh my gosh. 5 more inches? Uh-oh. That doesn't sound good. Not 5 more inches. I might need to rescue my fishing equipment out there on the porch. Oh my gosh. That stuff in that little basin is has paperwork in it. It's not important, but it's going to be full of water. What else is going to get ruined? All I had to do was put it back in my car, but I didn't do that when I got home. Anyhow, it's really not that cold out there. It's 30 degrees. So, if it warms up, then nothing should stay very, very long. Oh, I got a message. message that I'm being too loud. My son's room is right behind that wall, so here, let me come out to the just more in the kitchen, and that way maybe don't know if that's the nope, looks like I'm looking up at my lights. Here, I'll try this. So who's out there? Anybody? Chris, you still there? Zen, are you still live streaming or are you done? Now, Zen is um, oh, your cuckoo rice cooker is 25 years old. Yeah. Well, Chris, not Chris, sorry, Raj, I think it was Raj, was telling me, I showed him the rice cooker and he goes, oh, he asked me, do you have a cuckoo? And I said, I don't know, is it? I look, I said, oh, yeah, it is. How'd you know? He says, oh, those are one of the better ones. So apparently they last 25 years. We had another, I think we've had about two of them before this one. And this was the latest. I think she got this one about, I don't know, 5 years ago or maybe less than that. Mm, cool. Oh my. Yeah, my hours are all screwed up. Sleep hours, that is. And ended up waking up past noon today, and so now I'm up at 1, almost 2 o'clock in the morning. Not much has changed, has it? I actually converted recently, like 2 weeks ago, or was it a week ago? I was back on schedule. Normal hours, in bed by 10:30, and sleeping like the best I've slept in a long time. Waking up at, 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, and things were going to bed with my wife. It was like, gosh. And now I'm screwed up again. Actually, at the hotel, up in the Poconos, I went to bed at what? Actually, I kind of slept in because we weren't planning on tubing until in the afternoon, like 1 o'clock ish. So I went to bed at like midnight or 12:30 and ended up waking up at what, 9 o'clock or something, 8, 9 o'clock. It wasn't too bad. For whatever reason. Who does, your mom-in-law or your wife? And what is the barracks? Talking about on a base? Or what's the barracks? Come in. Make yourself known if you're out there watching. Oh, the commissary. Gotcha, gotcha. Now, Chris, why do I not remember? Were you in the service or was her husband retired? Your mother in law? Be your father in law? Or who was in the military? I don't remember you being in the military. I like that. She still picks up bowls of brown rice bowls for whatever reason. Rice is life, I guess, right? Oh, you were. Okay, okay. Oh, okay. So you must be retired. Are you retired? Did they retire you? Medical retirement or what I'm getting at is, unless you're retired, I have no benefits of, I have no access to the base anymore. I didn't retire, if you remember. I only had, gotcha, 8 years, my 8 year contract. I let that expire and got out in 2007. Yeah, when I was a reservist, I still had access to the base, my wife, and we actually, bought some of our furniture at the time from the commissary and or the exchange, shopping at the commissary, right? Yeah, exchange. Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, nice. Yeah, I wish I still had access. Now I'm just like a civilian, oh, I am a civilian, and unless I know somebody and accompany them, I have no access to the base. Oh my gosh. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, there was a lot still to be seen and done in the military, and I'm sure I would have, had the opportunity to do all of that had I stayed. But if you remember, I got back from Iraq in 2005 and decided, this is a dangerous job, and I was a new husband and a new daddy when I got back. Actually, she delivered a month after I got back in April, and she delivered in May. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That sounds like myself. Once you leave, unless you are medically retired, then if you're a VA patient or have VA benefits due to your disability, if you're, as you know, I'm just repeating what I know, if you're a certain percentage disability, then you have VA benefits. People misconception of that, that just because you're in the military, but you have benefits afterwards. And I'm like, no, no, no. Unless you're retired 20 years or more, and or you're a VA, you have a VA disability, then you got, a greater medical coverage. And my medical coverage is what? Exams and x-rays, some basic x-rays, which I don't use because my wife has all that in her insurance. So, come in, strike up a conversation. We need some more activity. Oh, it's always good. I've been ordering from Black Rifle Coffee Company for a number of years, and I ended up getting hooked on this Beyond Black, and it's the bomb. I think so. It's super good. Kind of got little hints of chocolate, like dark chocolate, hints of dark chocolate, and just a dark roast flavor. I actually have bought my brother in California a couple of orders of the loose grounds, and I recently bought him. I splurged and got him a 5 pound bag and had it sent to his house in California. Same stuff, the Beyond Black. I had it subscribed to it on Amazon. No, 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 through the Black Rifle Company website for a while. Where it automatically sent me every 3 months or whatever the frequency was. And then I decided to stop it, and then I restarted it again on Amazon. So I subscribed to it, and it gets sent to me, I think, every 3 months. I have to kind of monitor it because I'm not quite sure how quick I go through these 84, what are these things called? K-cups. Come in, come in. Looks like 5 people are watching. At least they were watching at one point or another. Yeah, I was reading your comment again, the small payment for school. That's what I ended up. I ended up getting 50%, the 50% GI Bill, I think, because of my reserve status. And I ended up using that prior to getting deployed in 2004, and went back to school and started. I gave in and decided I was going to get my nursing prerequisites out of the way. Um, so I started that and was going to college in Bakersfield when I got the phone call to get deployed. and that put an end to my school and actually put an end to my annual training that I was up for, the 2 weeks that you have to, do every year. I was going to, I think I told you this story. I was going to Ketchikan, Alaska on a joint military civilian contract, or, yeah, joint civilian military contract building roads up in Ketchikan, Alaska. And I was going to provide, medical support as a corpsman, one of their corpsmen, for 2 weeks. And I had the orders online already submitted to my commanding officer, and she was signing them, just waiting for the email back. Hold on one second. And yeah, I got the phone call. The the deployment phone call that everybody was talking about. Did you get the phone call? Did you get the phone call? Because people were getting deployed, after 9/11. And it took until 2004 till I got the phone call. And that put an end to everything, put an end to my school, put an end to my annual training. I didn't go to Ketchikan. I went to Iraq instead for 7 months. And I spent a total of about 10 months from beginning to end, pre-deployment, and then uh, demobilization afterwards. So it was a total of about 10 months. I think it was, let's see, I got deployed I got the phone call in June. I actually deployed in June, started the process. So it was June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April. Yeah, 10 months. I got back in April. And then my wife delivered in May. Wow. You got hurt on leave? What the heck? Don't tell me. Motor vehicle accident. Maybe you told me before, but I don't remember. But that's the most common mechanism of injury in the civilian world is a motor vehicle accident. While you're answering that, that's the question. I remember my mentor in rock climbing when I first started when I was 19. He told me, he says, do you know what the number one mechanism of injury for rock climbers is? And I'm thinking, falls, coming down off of a climb is where a lot of accidents happen, is after the climb when you're coming down. And the answer was no, motor vehicle accidents. And I thought, what? He said, yeah, it's the number one. Let me go, and I fell straight. Oh no, you ended up with a closed hip injury, I'm guessing. Yep, back of your head. Dude, been there, seen that too. I don't even like to watch that. When people get knocked out on, MMA or even when I was growing up, I remember watching a friend fall straight back without any support and watch his head bounce off the sidewalk. And everybody, yeah, oh my gosh, so you had like a subdural bleed, or either a epidural or a subdural. Am I right? Yep, that's what happened. Been there, ran on those. Yep. Which one do you remember what it was? Was it a subdural, which is the lesser of the two? But either one's a bleed's a bleed. A brain bleed is a brain bleed, but the epidural is less life threatening than the, I'm sorry, subdural is less than the epidural, I believe, if I didn't get my, if I remember correctly. Bro, did you end up with any lasting uh, disabilities? You know, paralysis or anything? Gosh, bringing back memories, dude. As a paramedic, I've ran on everything from BD, BTD glitch. Oh wow, wow, that long ago. And I'm looking at the flag that you're flying there in your profile. What is that? Well, I'll be darned. I of course can't remember back that long, but I'm glad you were watching that day or days. Yeah, I was probably what talking about the Reformers Unanimous program or the Word of God in some way or another. Yeah, as a matter of fact, Chris or Cross Mondo that's here in the room, he was probably um, active about that time as well. Well, I'll be dang. What is the flag you're flying there? What is that? It's not the Philippines, although they're the same colors but different. Okay, you got a better memory than I do. And you're a head injured patient. Oh, that's the Russian flag. Okay, okay. So the surgery went well. Obviously, this. How many years ago was this, Chris? Uh, when was your deployment? About the same time as mine, or was it after? Or what would have been your deployment? No long-lasting issues. Medical staff was stunned. Good. 23. Okay, so it was just before my deployment. Yeah, you must have been like 2000, 2001, 2002, 3. Yeah. Gosh, that was right after the 9/11 incident. Yeah, I was saying just not to compare notes, but I've had mostly brain bleeds present in the elderly because they take falls and end up striking their head, and their head, their whole body isn't as fresh and resilient, as younger people, and so their brain tissue bleeds, a lot easier. Um, from mostly elderly people with strokes, but I've had um, falls off horses. Had one, well, another elderly that went out to take out the trash, and either we always wonder what happened first, the bleed and then the fall, or did they fall, whack their head like yourself, and then cause the bleed. But bottom line is a bleed's a bleed, and you treat it the same way. But at least out in the field. Yeah, 9/11, 2002. Gosh, while you were on leave, Angel and Hope. No way. Wow. Praise God. Right? Wow. Cool stuff. Great, great testimony. You were were supposed to return back to the base and you never made it. Yeah, amen. Wow. Cool. Yeah, that's right out of a textbook, Chris. You know, your mechanism is like that's what you read right out of the textbook. Do you remember? Did you go home? Did you wake up and then go about your normal business and then 3 days later ended up having symptoms, or were you in the emergency room that same day and ended up in the OR, days after? Did it all happen, you know, quickly, or did you wake up and go home and then the symptoms came on? I'm asking for a reason because that gives me a clue as to what type of bleed it is. Gotcha. Yep, yep. Yeah, typically if it's the textbook says, 3 days. 3 days later, the person doesn't wake up, or the family finds them in bed unconscious, with snoring respirations or something like that. They kept you in the ER, woke up after, oh, not knowing where I was. So you weren't intubated anymore. You didn't have a breathing tube down your trachea, or did you? You weren't restrained. How about that? If you're ripping cords out of your body, they'll typically restrain somebody. You pulled out the tube out of your throat? Come on. Did you really? See, that's typically they restrain patients that are intubated for that very reason. It's for your safety. It's like they don't want you pulling that ET tube out of your throat. It's got a balloon on it, and that balloon is injected full of air, and that balloon swells up inside your trachea, inside your breathing tube. And you start pulling something out of your breathing tube that's got a balloon attached to it, you end up pulling your breathing tube out of your mouth. Not really, but you'll end up injuring yourself if you do that. Actually, you know what? Now that you say that, my dad was intubated after his cardiac surgery in Arizona. And when my wife and I went there to see him, he was still intubated. He was unconscious, intubated, and but they sedated me afterward. Yeah, yeah. Thought it was your last hurrah, and then it happened. People have a moment before death, a sudden burst of injury. Um, yeah, I was saying he was still sedated. It was post surgery, but he wasn't. He didn't have. There wasn't any a breathing a respirator or attached to the ET tube. He was breathing on his own, but he was breathing through the ET tube. It's an endotracheal tube, is what that is. And he wasn't restrained, and we just happened to be there, and we were just observing him. And Althea, I think my wife was looking at his drips to see what medication. We were just being medical people, curious. And all of a sudden, my dad woke up, and the first thing he did was reach for his tube in his mouth. And I remember my wife had to grab his wrist. It's like, no, 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 it's okay. And we're like, I had to grab his other arm. I was like, Dad, you're intubated. Just relax. And he's like shaking his head, like, okay, okay, I hear you. And then the nurse came. It's like, whoa, what's happening? I said, he's waking up. But typically they'll have soft restraints on your wrist, tied to the bed, so you don't do that. But he wasn't restrained either. So the medical field, even though as like whoa, that my conversation might sound to the layperson, it was radical for me. It was really cool. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, you don't want your ICP going up. That's your intracranial pressure, especially after a head injury. And being intubated actually increases ICP in your brain. Just a tube going down your throat. So they have a medication that they use in conjunction with other medications. When they sedated you, they'll typically use lidocaine. You've heard of, Novocaine, for numbing up uh, for the dentist office. Well, it's a cane. It's called lidocaine, and it it literally numbs up cardiac tissue, and it does other effects where other tissue, other parts of the body, in particular the brain in this case, and it helps decrease the intracranial pressure when intubating somebody. So if you know they're head injured and you need to put a tube down their trachea to breathe for them, we'll typically give them a paralytic first, along with lidocaine. It's a cocktail, we call it, to help prevent, accomplish one and prevent another. Accomplish paralyzation and help decrease the ICP from elevating. Because the brain's already injured, with a bleed. So, and that increases everything. Blood pressure, intracranial pressure. Yeah, mechanism that was stitched to your head. And you tried ripping that off too. Stop it. Anyways, I was saying all of that, all of what I'm talking about and you're writing about, it's like super interesting. It's really, you either gravitate towards it and you become a practitioner, of some kind in medicine, and or it's just not for you, and people don't get involved, and a very small percentage of the population ends up getting that bug, that really like draws them towards doing it for people, and it's addicting. You end up having fun on somebody else's what's the expression? Yeah, that's what enables us to, talk about these types of calls, gross involved calls over lunch together. It's like a locker room talk over lunch. Whereas if a layperson was overhearing the conversation, they'd be like, what the heck are they talking about? Yeah, it's pretty cool. Really cool. You get a, it definitely changed my perspective on life. It really did. Although the Word of God was even more OMG, jaw dropping. But medicine was first, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible, incredible to do and to be good at it. It's really like when you told me about your head injury. I got all excited again. I was like, "Whoa, tell me about it." And so, was this a subdural bleed or a or an epidural bleed? Brings back memories, cool memories. I could talk about it, and you'd think I was nuts. Here's another type of a brain bleed, a gunshot wound to the head. Obviously, more devastating than your injury, but it's the same thing. It's a bleed. It's a brain bleed. It's just a hole in the head. But the effects to the body, are pretty much the same. Same things that you presented with. Bullet does that too. And a bullet doesn't necessarily kill somebody in the head. injuries like that, people end up on life support for the rest of their life. And then the family's got to make a decision as to what they want to do with them. And a lot of families, for obvious reasons, they hope for a miracle. Something's going to happen, and they'll keep people on life support for years. Even when the doctor tells them, you can't. There's nothing else we can do. But they keep them alive, and it's tough. That's a tough part of medicine. Yeah, I know. Right. It's exactly right. And it's, you know, it enabled me to, like I said before, it brought out something in me that I never knew anything about. And one of the reasons why I got into the field was because I didn't know anything about, I didn't know how to help somebody. I didn't know what to do. I was the onlooker. I was the looky loo on the outside looking in. And I was always wondering, gosh, there's got to be something somebody could do. And nobody, most of the time, the big crowd just gathers around and nobody knows what to do. And I wanted to be one of those few, that knew what to do. So I ended up, through sequence of events, got exposed to emergency medicine and ended up going to school for it. But it enables you to care for somebody else's emergency. You end up taking it kind of off their shoulders and being able to talk with them and maybe comfort them when they are actually going through an acute crisis sometimes, and not always. Most of the time they're not. But when they really are having a life-threatening issue, you can help, whether they're conscious or not. And it's a cool feeling to be able to help somebody, to be able to know what to do when they don't know. And they do. They really gravitate. They really put their trust in you, and you help them along. And you just literally help them, off the ground, onto the gurney, into the back of the ambulance, to the emergency room while you're doing stuff. Here's an example, maybe what I'm trying to say. I had a 6-year-old, something as simple as starting an IV. And the little poor 6-year-old, he was frightened. Mom was there. She was, and he was okay, but it was standard when going with the paramedic unit that we do, typically start an IV, put him on a heart monitor, and there's 3 things. You put him on oxygen, IV O2 monitor. And sticking a needle in somebody can be frightening, even for, the older people. And this 6-year-old, he was pretty timid, and it was an opportunity for me to just, like, I was the teacher and he was in the class. And he was sitting on my gurney. Mom was sitting up front in the passenger seat. And it's like I showed him everything. I had him hold it. I had him hold the IV needle before it was exposed. And I showed it to him, and he's like looking at it. And I said, see that? See that? The metal part up there? I said, that's the needle. I said, down here, that's the mechanism that we use to slide the needle. And I showed him, you can push it forward and it comes out, and you can retract it back inside the sheath. It comes out, it goes back in. And I said, over that needle is a piece of plastic. It's made of Teflon. And the needle is just used to introduce that piece of plastic into your vein. And I showed him, gave him a little class on what a vein is. I said that the tip of that needle is just to get inside that vein And then once I'm inside, I'll get a little flash of blood here, and I show them the little reservoir at the end. I'll get a little flash of blood back here. And then once I see that, I know I'm inside the vein. And then I just I slide this mechanism that he already touched and did himself. I slide that thing forward, and the Teflon goes inside your vein, and the needle comes back out inside the sheath. And I showed him. I went ahead and disposed one and showed him. Once you click it in place, you can't reuse it. So I went ahead and just wasted one to show him. And I put it in the sharps container. I said, just that plastic Teflon is now inside your vein. And then the tubing is attached to that, and it's attached to a bag of liquid, and it drips into your vein. And if I need to give you medicine, I just squirt the medicine through the tubing or in the bag of fluid, and then it drips down into your vein. And he's like, oh, cool. So he helped me with the procedure that I was doing on him. I was like, here, I need your finger. Put some pressure right there. So he took his little finger and he put it there. I said, don't let go of it. And then I screwed the tubing in place, and then I put the piece of tape and secured it. I said, okay, you can let go now. And then I finished securing it, and everything was good to go. He helped me with his own procedure. It's that type of kind of connection you get with people, and they let you do things that are, they calm down, and the emergency is a little less than it was at the beginning. And that alone is really satisfying. We don't necessarily save lives, and that's a rarity. That happens very, very rare, where we actually save a life. Whereas if we weren't there, they'd be dead. No, that happens in Hollywood quite a bit, but not in real life. I mean, it happens, but not very often. Yeah, Hollywood and the media, they paint such a blown out, unrealistic picture. Most of the time, the calls that we run on, they're not emergencies. They're not a threat to life or limb. Think about that. If it's a threat to life or limb, that's a true medical emergency. That's what the emergency room is for. That's why it's called an emergency room. But most of the patients that are in the emergency room, they're not emergencies. I mean, there are cases where it might not be a threat to life or limb, but you'd be better off if you let the doctor take a look at you and make sure nothing else is going on. And if there is a potential, of it being a life-threatening emergency or something could develop, then they'll keep you. And you end up getting admitted, and they observe you for a day or two or whatever, and then they let you go. Or overnight, and then they let you go. But, I didn't know any of that before I got into it. And then you end up getting exposed to it. And then you end up marrying a nurse. And then you see her side of what she does in the hospital. She's hospital care. We're pre-hospital care. Or I was. And the same thing with being a corpsman in the Navy, We're doing pre-hospital care. So that was a perfect fit when I discovered, a part-time opportunity to be a paramedic in the Navy. So I brought my license at 36 years old, and I signed on the dotted line eventually, and signed an 8-year contract in the United States Navy. You know what, speaking of, I just met another Filipino live streamer, female, and she's married. I've seen her a long time, been known of her for a long time. And I just met her husband. I was on the chat room side, and she was live streaming. And she had her husband. She introduced her husband. He's a white guy like me. And I'm typing, or she was learning what doc meant, and that it was a Navy corpsman. And her husband, I can hear her husband in the background saying, "Yeah, honey, he's a Navy medic." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And then I typed, or he asked me, I could hear him, when did you, yeah, when did you serve? And I said, 1999 to 2007. He's like, "Oh, I was in from 1998 to 2006. And I'm like, "Wait a minute, that's an 8-year contract as well." I said, "I joined when I was 37 years old." He says, "I joined when I was 35. And I went, "Wait a minute." I said, "The program I entered was APG program, advanced pay grade." He goes, "So was I." I went, "What?" He says, "You're the first person I met that was in the APG program." He says, "I know of others that were in my class, but after that, I never met anybody that went through the APG program." And here we are talking to each other. He just happened to join a year before I did. He went through it a year before I did. And he signed an 8-year, actually, no, he retired. He ended up being able to do 20 years. That's what it was. He probably signed an 8-year contract and then he extended, and you have the option to do 20 years. He says, "You're the very first person." I said, "You are the very first person I've met." Same thing. He was 35. I was 37. Isn't that crazy? So he was able to retire at 57, 20 years, you know. I'm sorry, 35. Um, yeah, he would have retired at 55. If I had stayed in, I could have retired at 57. No, I was 1999. Sorry, so it was 2009, 2019. I could have retired. What did I say? He would have been 2017. I just said that wrong. I joined in 1999, so he did 1998. That's what it was, to 2006. And I was 99 to 2007. Yeah, I said that wrong. Yeah, it was pretty cool. He was all smiles. I was like, "Me too." I said, "If you could see me," I said, "I'm smiling ear to ear as well." So I know exactly what he did, the program that he joined. They take civilian experience and they apply it towards the military. If you Google that, you will find out that they've been doing it since the Revolutionary War, since George Washington, 1700s. They've been bringing civilian experience into the military and using their experience. I always tell people they've been doing it since World War II. No, 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 no. Long before World War II. And I was like, wow. Didn't know that. Shram. Oh my gosh. Char. Call her Char. Chris. Chris, meet Char. Char, meet Chris. Oh, and he is, uh, let's see, he was 35. He's 2 years older than I am. So I'm 63, he's 65, I believe, either 65 or 66. Yeah, just like him, the guys and girls, the ladies that I went through the APG program, my hiring class, they all got deployed. I saw some of them in Iraq, and others went other directions. But other than that class, I think there was 80 of us in that hiring class, or what do they call it? The boot camp. Um, yeah, I think there was like 80 of us total. But out of those 80, I never, like, in my unit that I got deployed with, the 123 Marines, none of them were, that I knew, were with us. So I was the only one assigned to that battalion. Others were assigned. I did see them. I saw some of them in at Al Assad base when I got there. after that, they got deployed, with other units and went out. And I didn't keep in touch with any of them. I didn't, connect with any one or two in particular during the Iraq or the whole time after the class up until Iraq. Yeah, I still have their names on my T-shirts in my bedroom, the class, and I have some pictures from my boot camp. Sharam, what are you doing? It is what? It's 3:46 over there, p.m. Hop on. What's for lunch? Or what did you have for lunch? Yeah, I miss my job. If I said I didn't miss it, I'd be lying. But it was it was Mr. Toad's wild ride. It was pretty cool. Great experience. Well, thank you everybody about for the likes, the thumbs up. Char, did you hear me? What's for lunch? Pani hapon. What did you have for lunch? Wait, pani hapon? Is that lunch or dinner in Bisaya? I know hapon was afternoon. Isn't there a pani udto? Char, are you there? It's like I haven't skipped a beat. You remember me now? I'm the same way. Oh, there is something new. I got hearing aids now. They're Bluetooth. I listen to everything now through my Bluetooth. I listen to the TV. I listen to the telephone. I listen to YouTube. My my wife's nephew. He's been deaf, hard of hearing all his life since he was born, and so we connect with him, with his hearing disability. And so every time I go and see him, I'm always checking out his hardware, or he's telling me, Tito Gary, did you see my hearing aids? And I was like, no, what about them? I see they're flashing blue or something. Something's going off and on. It's like, what's that about? It's Bluetooth. I went, no way. He said, yeah. I was like, oh, that sounds cool. So eventually, one thing led to another, and I ended up getting a hearing exam. And I already knew I had deficit, gosh, from being a drummer when I was younger. But as I got older, uh, sequence of events led me to what's the hearing place called again? Oh, I'll think of it. And got an exam, and they, of course, showed me that I had, deficit in the high frequency range, which I already knew. Actually, the Navy even diagnosed me with it before I went to Iraq, and I already knew it. But so I decided, you know what? My nephew's got some pretty cool Bluetooth, hearing aids. He's like, oh yeah, most hearing aids have that now. And I'm, well, then I'm up for it. Let's do it. So I got on a payment plan and got hearing aids for both my ears. And I use it for Bluetooth more than anything. I can listen to the TV, without the volume being up. And if somebody wants to listen to the TV, just turn the volume up with the remote. And then I got kind of an echo. I hear it first here and then half a second delay. that's the case where everybody wants to listen, I'll just shut my Bluetooth off. On the phone, actually. I'll just disconnect it from my phone. Um, no, no, no. That's the TV. There's a setting on the hearing aid that connects to the Bluetooth. It's not Bluetooth. Whatever that technology is, the box that connects the TV to the hearing aid. I just shut that box off, which is I can do with a switch over here. Char, you disappeared. Where'd you go? Are you there? Oh, something else new. Speaking of the Word of God, um, my elderly friend, I might have mentioned before, Lincoln is his name. We call him Link. Um, oh, my battery just died on did you notice that? On this holder slash light. Hold on one second. Here I have a giant long charging cord that I can plug this thing in and charge it at the same time. It should turn back on here. Let's see here. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Yeah, I was saying my elderly friend Link, um, he's down in Mindanao, Philippines. He married a Filipina. I may have told you this in the past. And he's been living down in Gensan, General Santos City, Philippines, down in the southern tip of Mindanao, for, gosh, 2 years now, or going on 2 years. Maybe it's been over 2 years. And we talk regularly on Messenger. And that's what we'll talk about. We'll just share the Word of God. I'll ask him, yeah, what's the latest in Proverbs? And he'll turn to today's proverb, Proverbs. What's today? 20, whatever date it is. 23rd, for example. And we'll start there. And that's kind of what we always, what our conversation consisted of whenever we were together, whether we were fishing together or traveling together or whatever it was. There we go. And him and I will just sit there and chit chat on Messenger about either the day's events or the latest in Trump's activities or the Word of God, of some sort. Always seems to pop in there somehow. He's my dad's age. If my dad was still alive, he was born the same year my dad was, 1938. He's 87 years old, married to a 35-year-old Filipina down in Mindanao, Philippines. He ended up meeting her online, and the rest is history. And he's, if I hadn't already mentioned before, he's the uh, in, most incredibly in shape 87-year-old man that I've ever met. He still does Marine Corps push-ups at 87. It's like, what? It's like, come on, let me see him. And he puts his phone down on the ground. I told him, put it on the floor up against the wall. Let me see you do a push-up. Sure enough, he's doing a straight board, shoulder width Marine Corps push-ups. I was like, dude. He does 10 of them, and he does sit-ups, and he walks, and when he went to the Philippines with me in 2018, I gave him a 25-pound pack with all his clothes in it, everything that his belongings in a backpack, and he carried that thing with me. I was carrying the same backpack, the same style. And yeah, he wore that backpack everywhere we went. Well, I'm at an hour of live streaming. Come in, come in, come one, come all. Do you remember that? Come see Jojo, the dog-faced boy. He neither eats nor sleeps nor crawls nor creeps. He's 15 inches across the eyes and smells like a wolf. He's Jojo, the dog-faced boy. Char, where did you go? Chris, where are you? I'm speaking to the choir. Well, hey guys, you know what? It is a short, I've been making live streams but keeping them short. So since I'm at exactly, well, I'm at an hour and 2 minutes now, but let me end this. And unless somebody else that's watching wants to strike up a conversation, I'm game. Anybody? Anybody else? I figured I'd head out and maybe do this again shortly. I don't really have a schedule. I haven't really set aside anything like I did before. It's kind of random. All right, guys, I'm gonna squeeze in maybe another episode of what I've been watching Netflix, Blacklist on Netflix forever and ever. So I've taken a break lately, but I think I'll hop back in and watch another episode. But as I always did, Chris, right? As you were. Thanks, guys, for coming back in, reuniting with you all, or the few of you. Thanks for coming, Shar and Zen. I know, Chris, it'd be good. You know, maybe here in the near future, if I'm heading towards Philly again sometime, if I can get a hold of you, feel free to leave me another email. You can see my email address there in my description. And yeah, maybe I can drop by and we could do the reading market, and have lunch or something. We were just there. My wife had a thyroid, a thyroidectomy, her thyroid removed, and we went to Cooper, I think there was it Cooper, and had the surgery there, and stayed overnight or whatever, however long we were there. We kicked around the area, including Reading Market. It's just right down the 2 blocks down from the hospital. I'm sure you know exactly where I'm at. What is that? 12th and whatever it is. Yeah, between 11th and 12th. Yeah, cool. Yeah, drop me an email so I have a way to communicate with you. All right, brother. Good seeing you again. Bye, everyone, if anyone else is out there. Later, guys. See ya. Yeah, and market. Very good. All right, Chris. Talk to you soon.